we have learnt in explosive combustion that explosion may take place and it may be uncontrolled. So what happens if explosion become uncontrolled? At that time the fire will take place. Fire will take place, and to control the fire we have to learn about fire control, and in this topic we will learn that how fire takes place. As fire is the result of the combustion, we know that when combustible material catches fire, then it is the fire or it burns with the flame. If it is uncontrolled, then we have to control the fire, and for that we have to take the measure. So we have to see how fire takes place. We have learnt earlier that if combustible material is present, it will catches fire. If there is a continuous supply of the air, it catches fire. And if the temperature of the combustible material is higher than its ignition temperature, then the combustible material catches fire. These are the three necessary conditions of the combustion, and under these three necessary conditions, what happens? Any substance catches fire, and if it catches in free supply of air or oxygen, then it may be uncontrolled fire. It may be uncontrolled fire. So control the fire, we can say if one of the necessary condition is if not satisfied, then combustion will not take place and fire can be controlled and fire may be stopped. So let me see here that what are the places where highly combustible material are present or which are kept. We have seen the petrol pump. So here combustible material, that petrol, is kept here. You have seen the LPG, or you have heard the name of the LPG godowns, and as you know, these all two are the inflammable substances. They catches fire at room temperature, maybe at room temperature, or their ignition temperature is very, very low, so it catches fire. Also regarding crackers, factories, there may be the chances of catching fire with very, you can say, a small amount of the, or you can say with the help of one matchstick. In ammunition depots also, these are the substances where there is the highly combustible material. So at the end we can say that at these places what happens, precaution must be taken, care should be taken while placing a burning candle in the house also during the power failure. So why these precautions are taken? Because once a fire has started, it cannot be stopped, or it can be stopped either by cutting the supply of the air or lowering the temperature of the combustible material below its ignition temperature. So if a person catches fire in his or her cloth, what should we have to do? We must have to wrap that person with a blanket, thick blanket. It cuts off the supply of the air from outside, and suddenly what happens? Fire stops. Similarly, sand is also used to cut off the supply of the air which is produced by the kerosene, and likewise a fire may be stopped. Another substance which cuts the supply or lowers the temperature of the burning material below ignition temperature, that is the water. So water may be used to lower the ignition temperature of the combustible material, and like this we can cut the supply of the air, or we can lower the temperature of the combustible material. By these two methods we can control the fire. And fire is may be caused by the oil or the gases, and it can be extinguished off by using the carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. That will be our next topic. Come to the topic soda acid type fire extinguisher, which is given in your book. Do you know? As the name suggests, soda acid type fire extinguisher, here the chemicals present, that is the sodium hydrogen carbonate, or it is called sodium bicarbonate, and one acid is present, that is the sulfuric acid. See here in the diagram what happens. It is conical shaped fire extinguisher, where at the top there is the seal and below it there is the metal cylinder, and beneath the metal cylinder there is the sodium carbonate solution, which is enclosed in a glass bottle, and inside the glass bottle there is a thin glass tube containing concentrated sulfuric acid. As you know, it is the mineral acid, and at the last there is the end, that is called the plunger. Now we will see that how this soda acid fire extinguisher works. Now see here that as it contains acid also, and in glass bottle there is the presence of the solid sodium bicarbonate or solid hydrogen carbonate. What happens on striking the fire extinguisher against a hard surface? What happens? This glass bottle containing sodium bicarbonate solution, this breaks down, and with the jerk also thin glass tube of the H2SO4 also breaks down, and the liquid sodium bicarbonate and solid sodium bicarbonate and the acid mixes, and there is the chemical reaction takes place. And what happens? See here the chemical reaction that takes place, that is the sodium bicarbonate reacts with the concentrated amount of the hydrogen sulfate, sulfuric acid. This is a sulfuric acid. Sodium bicarbonate reacts with the sulfuric acid, and reaction takes place, gives sodium sulfate, water, and carbon dioxide is released. So the carbon dioxide which is released, it is heavier than that of the oxygen, and it covers the burning object just like the blanket, and it first of all cuts the supply of the air or oxygen, and likewise first the fire is controlled. As one of the conditions we have taken earlier, that if we are cutting the supply of the air, then fire may be controlled or must be controlled. Another second condition, what carbon dioxide act here as this carbon dioxide, when released from the cylinder, it expands enormously in large volume, and what happens? It cools down the combustible material. So it put the ignition temperature of the combustible material at the lower temperature, and likewise it also acts as the excellent fire extinguisher.